Hello, hello, friends. I feel like it's been a minute. Look who I have with me. She's on this side. Look who I have with me. Vanessa. Me and Vanessa are together.
Yay!
We are gearing up, and maybe you know, maybe you don't know, for a parenting conference in August. And
Yeah.
so we love to talk about parenting. Vanessa helps me. We share, we bond over parenting and co-parenting.
Yeah.
But we have a tool that is coming up April 29th, so in about a week, that can help blended families. And Vanessa and I both have blended families. They look a little different, but they're both blended families.
Yes.
And we've discussed, we've learned some things in this blended family. Maybe some things we would do and some things we would do differently, like do differently.
Definitely.
I'm gonna let Vanessa kick us into gear, but what are some things that you have learned in your blended family journey?
So I think one of the coolest things, and why we feel that this is important that we get to hang out with you guys. One is just because to be honest, like we don't really have enough parenting friends that we can just sit and just be like, dude, my kid is on another level. Like, what do I do? Like, because we're constantly in this image of like, okay, they might not know what I'm dealing with. And you don't want to just kind of throw everybody under the bus. So you don't share. And then you just carry this on by yourself. So I think that what we wanted to do is create this atmosphere and this group, this community where you can really just depend on each other, pray for one another, and just have just this sense of encouragement to be able to work together and to raise our kids the best that we can, right? So I didn't have that growing up too much and I struggled. And now, having all these tools, I wish I would have known this sooner that you are not a magical, amazing parent by night or by morning, that it just doesn't respond or with one prayer. Like it doesn't happen that way. It's work.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work, just like a great marriage is a lot of hard work. And the grass is not greener in the other family that's not blended. The grass is greener where you put hard work in.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the things that I learned is that my faith was going to be everything in this, and that the relationship that I had with God was going to depend on how it helped me change here and how it helped me change here. And that the way that I was going to treat my co parent, whether it was my husband that was a stepdad, or the way that I treated the co parent that was outside of my home, was going to be a direct link to my children watching me treat people that sometimes I did not like. I'm not going to be honest. And like what's that one quote that says everybody can love Jesus, but I'm totally killing it. Joe's gonna be like, what do you mean? But it says something about like the real test is like, how do you love Judas? You know what I mean? Like that's the real test.
Ooh, Vanessa,
Right.
that's really good.
Right. So I'm just like, okay, how do I love Judas, Jesus? Because this guy is totally Judas. So there, my son, I received a letter from him. He's turned 19, and just thanking me for teaching him and helping him. And every person that got in my life was a part of that growth, and teaching him how to treat other people, teaching him that by our example is the way that he's going to go out and be. And I didn't really consider the fact that I was just training him to be able to go out on his own. I didn't think about that, but now I would have realized that I only have a certain period of time, and I need all the tools that can get, and I need to be proactive in my parenting skills. And I think that that's why this is so important, that we do this, that we do the seminars, that we hang out, that we talk with one another, because we only have a short period of time and we need to be proactive.
Yeah. And everybody's like blended family. When we talk about blended family, it's like walking into a potluck. Like everybody has something different to
Yeah.
bring. Like everybody's family, we talk about parenting. Okay, well, everyone can attend a parenting seminar because everybody is a parent, right? You're targeting parents. Everybody who has kids is a parent. But when
Yes.
it comes to blended family, I don't think people always identify as blended family. I didn't have a negative like thought towards having a blended family, but maybe some people do.
Yeah.
And when we I know I was listening to my podcast today and they were talking about some people don't like the word step parent and like they try to skip past like it's not a step parent. We're just family. We're just
Yeah.
co-parenting.
Hmm.
And they said something that's just so true. Like it doesn't matter what you call yourself in the blended family.
That's right.
Your kids, when they go to school, like when my son goes to school, he's going to tell people, "Oh, my stepdad drove me to school today," because it's the best way for other people who don't know us to identify our family. Doesn't mean he doesn't love my husband, doesn't mean he's not thankful for my husband, but we as adults kind of get like hung up with this like we're not a blended family. No, my husband did not have kids when we got married, and I did have kids. So we did blend a pre-existing unit with another unit,
Mhm.
which makes us a blended family. You and Joe looked differently when you both got married.
Yes.
Maybe a more traditional blended family.
Yeah, so we had he had his son from his previous marriage. I had my son from a previous relationship. I was not even married. And then we joined together. So automatically we had, a family of four. And then we had two kids of our own. So we had a mine, yours, and ours. And then at the end, it was just ours, because we just became one family. So
Yeah.
had a little bit of everything and, just different ages.
And then you had kids of your own. So
Yeah.
then that is part of the blended family um, journey. I think people forget that when they're dating someone that has kids, that's the beginning process of a blended family.
Yes.
And if it's not done well, you're gonna deal with things you could deal with on the dating end
Mhm.
on the other side,
Yeah.
where maybe there's more stress after you get married, right?
Yeah.
Just like blending a normal home. Two married people that don't have kids have stresses. So then I just think it's wisdom. I think there's a lot of wisdom when we can get with other parents in the room and bring our little potluck.
Yeah.
Here's my corn casserole. Here's my, all the funky things like, ooh,
And,
doesn't smell great, but it tastes great.
that's right. And
Uh,
I think that people don't really it's kind of like a taboo thing. Like if we don't talk about it, then it's like it doesn't exist, like the whole parenting or the blended or like I already have kids before. It's like we think that we can, date people or be together with somebody else and not have that in mind, or not have that, oh, we're gonna have to blend a family or this
yeah,
person I'm thinking of that I'm dating is gonna maybe raise my kids. And I think that that's one of the hardest things is that, God is a God of restoration, right? He restores. So the way that God created, the family unit, it was like, okay, and it's not because he's just like strict on rules. It's just because he knows how to do things right. And he's trying to prevent us from having heartache and going through all of these hard situations. But we do our thing. So because we
yeah,
have free will. So, God said, okay, I want a husband, I want a wife, and I want you guys to get married and then know each other and then have kids, and then we say, wait a minute, I don't like that idea. I'll do my own. We did it. So now we're here. So it's difficult, it's hard. And a lot of the times it's easy to think like, okay, well, no, you take care of your kids, I take care of my kids. But that's not the way that it goes. If God says, okay, now you're married and you're together, so
yeah,
now let me restore this thing that you kind of did it wrong. Let me bring restoration and let me teach you how to be a mom, a stepmom, to just be able to be that mom in this unit. And dad, let me help you and teach you to be a dad in this unit because that's the way that it was supposed to be, and that's the way that your kids will flourish because you guys both have things that your children need. They
yeah.
need the nourishing, the what is it, how's the word, oh my god, help me,
Nurturing,
nurturing,
nurturing.
the nurturing of of a mother. And there's certain things that a dad only has. So when God unites these families, there's so many things that God wants to do, but a lot of the times we're just kind of caught in our own, like, no, you don't step on this line, I don't step on this line. We hurt ourselves and we hurt the kids are in this unit dying and just needing and desiring, that they have these dad like qualities and that they have this mom like qualities because there's something inside of them that they need, that it fills their bucket. So I think that these tools are so important because we need to be able to know our role. We need to be able to be the best in that role. And we need the guidance, because I don't know about you, but I mean, sorry, mom, I don't know where she's at, but like, I didn't grow up with the perfect example of how to, read bedtime stories and comb your
Yeah.
hair nicely, and, like, sweetheart, you got hurt. Let me clean it up and put a band-aid on you. Like, I didn't have that. So I
Yeah.
had to just figure things out on my own, and I wish that
Yeah.
I would have just, dug into stuff like this.
Yeah, John and I, my husband and I, both came from parents who were married forever and like have amazing marriages. So for us to have a splendid family, I'm kind of opposite of you, and like I didn't have an example in any way of what blended looked like. And so I felt like I had to start to look for resources, start to look for tools, start to ask questions. I think that's probably why maybe I have such an interest in hosting these seminars, making sure that these resources and tools and people are available in my community. Because if we're struggling and we're just let's talk about the elephant in the room too. We don't want to talk about the hurts and struggles that blended families go through, because we all still live in an Instagram world.
Yep.
And so part of that is like, oh no, we're fine. Look, we're married, we're blended, we're fine. Everybody's happy. Say cheese. Like,
Yeah.
and
Like,
our kids are struggling. Our kids are struggling. I think you said something that was really good. Like we all bring something to the table. And it's not all the same. It's not cookie cutter. It's not like we read a book and it tells us, okay, stepdad should do this, stepmom should do this. It's not even that type of a resource. But when we get together, when we hear other people's perspectives, when we
yes.
hear another, then the Holy Spirit can impart to us the parts we need to apply to our blended family. It's like
Mhm.
a recipe. It's
Yeah,
like you make
this.
that recipe and then you try someone else's potato salad and you're like, ooh, something tasted good. What
Yeah,
are your ingredients? And you take one ingredient and add it to yours and it makes yours better.
that's
That's
right.
exactly what this is. And I think you mentioned about like each parent bringing something to the table. I think sometimes a step parent can just be a really good friend.
Mhm.
Like sometimes that step parent needs to offer, instead of trying to be a mom to a kid that's not yours, maybe they're older is what kind of comes to mind.
Yeah.
And they've got some pre-established routines and established feelings and thoughts. Maybe you just need to be a listening ear and you need to just sit with that kid and like, learn what you can offer without trying to parent them.
Yes.
From like we talk about dictator parent and a
Yep.
doormat parent, but maybe you need to just be a listener and a friend until you can figure out what you have to offer. Because
Yes.
I do believe what Vanessa said. We believe in a God of restoration. I
Mhm.
have seen the addicts go through the program that the court systems have told them they're never going to get their kids, and they get their kids back. Why? Because God is a God of restoration. When
Yes.
we have families outside and our marriages fail and we have to blend a new family, and God is a God of restoration. I
Yeah.
believe firmly that our kids are not going to, if we walk in the ways of the Lord, if we ask the Holy Spirit for guidance and wisdom, if we humble our own pride as adults and begin to ask the God for wisdom, like coming to conferences and hearing one tool that you walk away with, I believe that God will make sure our kids are not stained by what society would say. Oh, you're born in a blended family, so you're not going to make it, and you're going to you're going to meet a statistic. Our kids are not statistics. And
No.
I see that in Vanessa's family. Vanessa's son is not a statistic.
No,
He's
he's
not. He breaks every bounds. I see it in my son. My
not.
son is not a statistic. People always say, I can't believe you're going through what you're going through with your son. I know why, because God is a God of restoration. And if I humble myself and I begin to ask questions as a parent, ask the Lord, ask for resources, ask my friends, and I say, man, I'm failing right now. I need to be a better parent for my kid.
Mm,
God is a God of restoration and he's faithful every single time. But
yeah,
first, we have to humble ourselves
that's right.
and show up to the seminars.
That's right. Take all the tools. Take all the tools. So I hope that people will tune in. I hope that people will, just find it in their heart to stop being on autopilot, as parenting and in life, and I hope that we can take that God-given right that God gave us and take action into our life for, success and for God to really move in our lives.
Yes, so good. Well, hopefully you guys will be there April 29th. You
Yeah.
can register at cornerstonefresno.com. I'll make sure to post a little something.
Yay.
But make sure you're there, even if you can only come half day. Half day is better than no day.
All right, guys.
So
Come on. We'll
get your
see you.
tools.
That's right.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.